Okay.
I'm sorry.
You were lucky. I've been to Flagstaff and I've been, Phoenix going towards Tucson.
That's the other way, south.
One more to do.
Yeah, it's in between.
I think she forgot you.
Cordes Junction, I stayed there too.
Yeah.
Now she's coming.
You've been forgotten.
No,
I wouldn't.
forget me.
Wow.
Cordes Junction.
Okay.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
something.
Okay, gracias.
I wonder if we're having a horrible internet experience because of the.
That's right.
Hey, is this still looking good? I think Esmeralda accidentally kicked that camera over there. Is that all still looking good?
I think it both go down a little bit, but basically yes. And this is the way it's going to display.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take it.
What is that? Where is that coming from? We've got some host in our shot. I don't see it. Oh, that's me.
When I came here, I think
Totally different.
Ah, right there.
2001, just came to
Yeah.
and Stockton was the first stop, and so we proved it here and stayed for 2 days in Santa Rosa.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was here
Are we up and running?
one vacation time.
I think we're ready to start. We're getting intermittent connection. It's going to be, and if I have to upload this, I will. As long as we're saving. I don't see it saving and recording. Oh. Okay. As long as it's recording, we're fine.
Oh, it says shuck.
Are you guys ready to start? Is everybody ready to start? This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I am Scott Stimson, having technical difficulties, but we are going to push through them and move forward. We meet every Tuesday here at Tequilas. It's nice to see everybody came out, even though it looks like crappy weather outside. We get together every Tuesday here at Tequilas and try and solve the world's tech problems. We live in a very small world of San Carlos. As always, I've brought a list of topics, and there are some things that I want to get right off the list. There is an amazing topic that I think all of you may be interested in that my wife has turned me on to, and she has started doing this as another part of her business. Apparently, seniors that are permanent residents qualify for a discount card, specifically on things like their property taxes. Russ, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no, I'm one of those.
You're one of those. And so she has figured out how to jump through these hoops, and she has been helping both Mexicans and gringos that are permanent residents to go down to the government offices and apply for these discount cards. So if you haven't heard about these before, you can find out about them through her at our office. But is that enough? Are you guys interested in having her come in and talk about how to do this?
Is that the ensign card?
This is a discount card for permanent residents that are seniors. It's a senior citizen card for
ensign.
Mexico.
Not ensign.
Say that again?
Not ensign.
I don't know what ensign is.
Ensign gives you discounts as a senior, permanent resident.
It could be. I don't know what it's called. But
I'd be interested in her coming and talking about her business as well.
yeah, because she also helps people with their immigration status and doing their paperwork. And I was just wondering if you guys thought that was something that you wanted, I could invite her to come talk to us about it.
Well, I got the card years ago.
You did?
Never, ever was able to get any kind of discount.
Well, that's the reason she should come in and talk to us about how it works, because she says that, I mean, things like the property tax, for instance, if you want the property tax discount, they can't give it to you here. You have to go into
Go to
Wymus and
Wymus,
you have to go into Wymus with your card to get the property tax discount.
They
And then
won't
they'll
give it
argue
to you
with
if
you
you're
when you try
permanent,
that.
you have to be
Probably
a
so.
citizen.
I had one of
See, you
those
need to
cards.
have her
I
come in and
was
explain because that's
trying to
not true according to her.
Well,
Yeah,
but
if you're a
when we-
permanent,
I've had the card for 3 years, and we went down with a Mexican to Wymus,
Mhm.
and they will not give it to a non-citizen.
He's talking about the instant card. That
Okay.
You don't know anything about.
I don't know if that's the
mine
card
were
she's
too.
talking about or not, but what she's talking about is for permanent residents that are seniors, as well as Mexicans.
Permanentes.
Yeah, permanentes. That's right. If you're a temporary, you don't qualify, but if you're a permanente, you qualify. The same way in the States, if you had a green card, you're a resident, you would qualify for services from the United States. It's the same kind of deal. Now, I only know these topics vaguely, and so my question is, should I invite her to come talk to us about this stuff? Okay.
We need to be told many times.
Yeah.
Well, and we can hit her with a bunch of immigration questions too. I mean, the difference between temporary and permanent, and the changes that have been made, and
Yeah.
so she's a good one to pick her. Okay, so I'll talk to her about a date. And would any time work, or should we pick a date and then announce it ahead of time? That's what we'll do. Is I'll get her to pick a date, and then I'll
Will it be during the meeting?
yeah.
It'll be like it'll be on a Tuesday.
It'll definitely be on a Tuesday. It'd be in lieu of our standard meeting. We'd invite her in as a special guest to talk to us about this stuff.
Or you can tell Jan Rain about it.
Yeah,
She can
exactly,
schedule
for
it
that
the
Thursday
night.
educational
Be
thing.
very
Yeah.
enthused about that.
Yeah, she could do that Thursday deal.
Well,
with
that's a
Yeah.
Jan.
good idea.
No, do it
Yeah.
Tuesday. Do it small group.
Do
We-
it both.
Well, yeah, let's do it both.
Do both.
Because it could be that she would feel obligated to put together a formal presentation for Jan's education
She probably
stuff.
would, yeah.
Whereas here she'd probably feel more comfortable just come in and talk off the cuff.
Well, also, we would ask the questions that she could put into, the answers into her next one.
That's a great thought. Yeah, she would be able to build up that material so that she could have a formal presentation.
Ask about Cyberco as well.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is we're still interested in having Cyberco come in and talk
Sure.
about their services, right? So I just need somebody to contact me, or Bob, if you've got the contact to talk to, I'll talk to them, and we'll do the same thing. We'll get them to commit to a date, and then we'll announce it beforehand. So it's not going to happen next week.
Okay.
Because we'll have years ago was the last time she came and told 6 years ago is when we switched from FM3s and FM2s to Permanente and Tempora, and that's why she came in and talked to us last time. And then some other stuff is there too. Other guests that we've had come in and talk to us. The Horizons recording is there if you want to hear about their smart home stuff. So look at the website, scclub.org, and you can find that stuff. I've revamped it, and it's easier to find that kind of stuff. So I was this.
Keep it clean, will you?
I was describing this to my 11-year-old, and she was nodding, and she's like, "Do you know Google Feud?" And I'm like, "What is Google Feud?" She's like, "Oh, go to Google Feud. You go to googlefeud.com, and they have taken this concept, and they've made a game out of it. And so they present you with a page, and you choose whether you're asking about people or culture or movies. They've got predetermined categories, and you click the button, and it presents you with a question like, "How do I?" or "What city is?" And you have to guess in Family Feud fashion what the majority of people are asking for. So it's a series of rounds that you go through. Yeah.
Feud, F-U-D-E.
Feud, like Family Feud. It is based on the Family Feud game show. The way that it poses these phrases. You have to come up with what people are Googling. So we found, I don't know, a half hour, an hour of entertainment just going through that, going to googlefeud.com and letting it ask us, "How do I?" or "I have a burning sensation when," and you have to come up with what people are Googling.
And how old is she?
11.
That's way too advanced for me.
I'm like, you did it again. You came up with a computer club topic.
She's cool.
So,
She's
So,
gonna be hosting soon.
right? I'll have her in as a guest speaker at some point.
She can teach us stuff.
I couldn't believe how entertaining. I'd never heard of it before. I'm telling her about this ad hoc hacking way of entertaining yourself. She's like, "Oh, you got to check out Google Feud."
Cool.
Did you just type in fugue?
Googlefeud.com is the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's very straightforward. They show a series of rounds that you're going to run through, and then they give you some predetermined categories you're picking from, and then it starts suggesting these. How do you complete this sentence? How would people on the internet complete this sentence? And it's pretty hard, actually. Yeah. Well, and what's interesting is it has the potential of changing at the moment. Like if you're asking about a celebrity, or if they're asking about celebrity news, well, whatever happened today is going to affect those results versus last week.
Well, they may base it on the answers that they receive, too.
Say that again?
They may base it on the answers.
The answers they receive? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I think there's the potential of that.
That'll build a database for you. for that
Data
particular
mining.
thing.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right about that. If anything we've learned from the events in the last year is that Google Feud is data mining. That's where they're making their money, is finding out how you would answer those questions, whether that's the way people are posing questions or not. They're keeping track of it. Yeah, absolutely. F-U-D, Feud?
F-E-U-D.
Yeah. Google Feud. I'll put a link on it in the post for this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hit one more topic. I got some other topics, but I'm going to hit one more topic before I ask you guys for topics, because I felt this was relevant enough to bring it up. And I'm going to say the word Cody, and I know nobody's using Cody except for Jim, me, and Ed, who's not here right now.
Right.
But I think that this topic is significant regardless of the software, because Sid and I went through this just recently. And this topic it has to do with the Windows Store. And I don't know if you guys have spent much time getting your programs out of the Windows Store. It certainly is not as popular as the Google Play Store for the Android. But it really has become a much more robust place. And actually, a good example now is iTunes. If you use iTunes, you have to get it from the Microsoft Store if you are a Windows computer. You cannot get that from Apple any longer. You have to go to the Microsoft Store to download at least your very first copy of iTunes. And so the iTunes is just an example of how you're going to end up, if you're a Windows user, you're going to interact with the store at some point. That's a very significant piece of software to only be able to get out of the store. Now I'm going back to Kodi. Sid's installation of Kodi, I wasn't aware that we'd done it over the summer, but we had installed it through the Windows Store. What happened to Sid is when he was coming down here, he uses Kodi as his entertainment center. And so he closed everything up from Alaska, traveled down here, set up everything. He got. When did you come in? Was it the 2nd that you came in? The first. The first is when he arrived. Set up everything on my internet. Turned on his computer. Finally was going to relax. Turns on Kodi. It's completely blank. However, he's got the latest version of Kodi. He's got Kodi 18. That's the latest version. He didn't install it. The Microsoft Store installed it for him. Now what has happened, it took me some research to find out, but the Kodi developers changed the type of release in between the last version of Kodi that they put in the store and this version of Kodi. The store has some very rigid policies on what kind of software you can put in it. It's called Universal Windows Programs, UWP programs. And the idea of this structure is that you're building applications that can dynamically change based on what kind of device you're using. So the best example of this is something like a Photoshop or an Office, where it is full-blown, all the tools lay out on a desktop environment, but you bring it down to a 10-inch screen on a tablet, and you want more of a tablet experience. A UWP app, and I'm not saying they're there yet, but the idea of the UWP is that experience tailors itself without you installing any different application. It's the exact same software. It just has a different experience. Maybe you've got a like a 13-inch laptop where you can pop the screen off and turn it in a portrait style. You would expect the tools of your application to convert to a now I can't even talk. Portrait, thank you. A portrait presentation and finger hotspots. You would expect it just to appear that way so that you don't miss a beat. All that changes with your environment. And so that's what UWP is all about. And they stuck those stipulations on Kodi for their following release. And when they did that, Microsoft is dictating where the settings for that program has to be put. Their original Kodi release was basically their standard Kodi program wrapped in a shell of Windows Store. And in the time that they released that to now, they've made it so rigid that you can't do that any longer. So they had to release their UWP version of Kodi. And that stores all your settings, and what happened with Sid is and Sid didn't do it. Microsoft Store did it. They installed Kodi with the new situation, and just ignored all his settings in the other location.
So you're gonna tell us what Kodi is?
Yeah. That was my question.
Yeah, it would not be fair for me to use a lot of Kodi time, a lot of time here on Kodi.
I just wanna know what it is.
It's a program.
Do I want it?
Yeah, well, it's a platform for media distribution, so that it's a platform that they build software for, so that you can find video, TV and movie files out there and be able to watch them. It's a framework for an entertainment center.
It's like a mining thing.
Well, that's what it's really worked for. Is it brings together the synopsis, like you would find in a Netflix or an Amazon Prime, with the ability to find those video files out there on the internet through a variety of questionable servers.
And legal ones.
And legal ones, yeah. Right. It brings together legitimate and questionable services into one package, so that you can see those videos that are out there on the internet without necessarily having to pay for anything. And so, it's very a hobbyist platform right now. I feel really guilty trying to put a novice into it, because at any given moment it's more effective than not.
Then don't.
Yeah, I've gone through long periods of time with problems with it, and then had those problems resolved. I think Jim has resorted to paying for a file sharing service called Real Debris. You're paying for that. It's very inexpensive, and it probably 200% more effective at finding and enjoying content by being a member of that file sharing
It
network.
just makes it quicker and
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah, because what Real Debris is really a file sharing network of files. The majority of it is video files, and what you're doing, you're paying for access to it, and it seemed pretty reasonable. It seemed like if you bought it in 15-day increments, it costs about a dollar. What is it? $1 a day?
Maybe, yeah, about 6 months at a time.
You've
I
lost
buy
us.
their maximum.
Sorry, I should have written it down. I didn't know.
And they came out and they checked everything, they found a short, which
Pero hay
solved
problemas
some of
de
the
internet.
fluctuation I had.
Hay
but
problemas
still,
de internet
between
en este
6 and 7
momento, en
o'clock,
esta conexión.
I'm down at 12,
Ay, no sé.
sometimes 10,
No sé,
sometimes
pero
15,
estoy
and
monitorándolo y
it's
está
there.
muy feo.
And I
La
call up,
conexión
down
está
below,
arriba y abajo,
and I've
arriba
got
y abajo.
everything disconnected in the house.
Si no es
except the
eso,
laptop.
no, creo que es,
And the guy asked me
es
last
la
night, really,
enlace.
You sure you don't have any other computers running?
o algo así.
Tal vez
There's no
sí.
Wi-Fi on or
Voy a
anything.
checar mejor después la junta y
So,
podamos.
I believe they're throttling us here in San
Sí, está
Carlos.
conectando,
Really?
pero no está funcionando bien.
Yeah, Chivas.
Yeah.
I haven't noticed it, but that is a popular time for a lot of people to be online.
Yeah, but DSL, it doesn't slow down.
Yeah, it shouldn't. It shouldn't be slowing down.
No.
Yeah.
But the possibility
And-
that when school's out, you have it.
Right? You don't get them focusing on solving your technical problem. Get them focusing on your contract. Right? And then they'll be looking at it and they'll be going, "Oh, well, that's strange. You should be synchronizing at this higher rate than you're synchronizing at. Let me put in a work order to find out what." And they might ask you some things like, "Do you have other phones in the house, or do you?" Just say no. Say this is the only thing that's connected. This started happening 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah, well, in fact, actually now that I say that, I'd stay away from the 2 or 3 days ago. I just noticed that I'm trying to decide whether I'm getting what I paid for. That's really what I want to. I want to know if I'm getting what I paid for, and I might want to just downgrade my.
Well, during the day, you do.
Well, you could do it at night, because
You don't get it at night. I get the same upload.
no,
10
I'm
days
saying
up.
you're saying report it at night. I'm saying do the same kind of report. Say I want to
I
verify
did.
my contract.
I do.
Yeah.
I have. Because you're getting your maximum speed. You're set to there. I don't know why you're getting such a lower speed. I can see you've had all these work orders and people have come out. And the guy night before last, asked me if there was any other computers running
Right.
in the house.
Sure.
You're already on the complaint list.
Yeah.
Oh, the whiner from the ranch.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the frustrating thing is if they decide that they're not going to deal with whatever the issue is in your area, and you just have to go, well, then I'm going to
Well, that's why
downgrade my account.
I was asking,
Yeah.
and he's having the problem too.
Yeah.
And his speed's getting cut in half.
Well, I went ahead and so what did that work out to? Like $15?
I don't know, I just found it. You got the calculator. Yeah,
Here.
probably.
Let's ask Cortana while it still exists.
Where did we get into euros?
Talking about the real Deborah, or real debris.
Oh.
Oh, and I'm an idiot turning on Cortana while we're having internet problems in here because it's not going anywhere. I'm going to try again here. Let's see what happens. How many dollars is 6 euros?
16.
How many dollars is 16 euros?
18.
Try again.
19.
Love technology.
Why the internet's so slow. Ask her why the internet's so slow.
Yeah. Excuse me, Cortana?
I had something interesting.
Okay.
We don't care, Bob.
Okay, then I'll forget. It's okay.
No, please share. Please share. I think I'm done with my topics.
My daughter,
Tell self. We talked about it last week a little bit, and there was a pretty good exchange on Venus and College right after that.
It's
And it
1825.
1825.
Oh, yeah. And just a little thing here. I typed into the search bar that I was trying to use Cortana. I said, how much is 16 euros without a space? And the Windows 10 searcher brought up Bing's currency changer right beside it. It's beautiful, though. I mean, how much is 16 euros? Bam! It opens up this window right beside it that says 16 euros. Under it says US dollars, and I can change it right from the search result in Windows 10. I don't have to go to a web browser or anything. It's the first time I've seen that. So that's pretty awesome. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Mike. I'm sorry for
we were
interrupting you.
Comparing Telcel and Telmex in terms of Wi-Fi. It sounded like Telcel was the way to go. There was an exchange of Viva San Carlos, and a day or two later, that one of the contributors said, you know, you could end up with big-time roaming charges using the Telcel as your hotspot.
Because the contract with Telcel is not an unlimited contract. Because you have.
So it could end up costing you, it might be, you don't have the repair problems you have with Telmex, but it's gonna cost you a lot more over time if you use your internet a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
So if
And
you're watching a movie or two.
you actually have to be careful
Yeah.
using a hotspot, a cell phone hotspot like that, because LTE will let your connections go up to 100, 150 megabits a second. So you could be watching 4K video without even knowing it across your cell phone plan and whittle that away in a day.
So it's not quite the dream that everybody thought it was last week.
Well, if this is it TCS or TSC? Is it
TCS.
TCS Networks? They are located right here. They've got an office right here in San Carlos. They've got an antenna on H Street, and if you don't know, H Street is the road to Loma del Mar. They are broadcasting. They're bringing down 4 satellite channels, and they're distributing it in 4 different directions to arrange.
Is this out of Hermosillo?
Yes, this is the one we've talked about before.
Okay.
And Mike, I don't think you can get it because you are behind that rock.
That rock.
Yeah.
And if you're just offset a bit, if you were like near the athletics club, you could probably get it. But I bet you couldn't get it where you're located because of that rock. I was up on Maggie's roof with these guys, and I was talking to them about where their line of sight is, where their antenna is located, and they were having problems dialing in Maggie's connection, and they were ready to go back to their office and move it just a hair to bring her more in the coverage area. So they will work really hard to try and get you on their service. It seems like a reasonable price if you're in an area that gets lousy internet. They're doing 10, 15, 20. They said they'll go up to 30, but they don't have that on their flyer.
And they're unlimited too.
And they're unlimited.
Where's the office?
They did not. I think it's on H Street as well. I've seen their truck.
It's on the way to, it's in the Ranchitos or on the way?
No, it's on the road to Loma del Mar.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've seen their truck parked outside of a building, like across the street from that Tecate store,
Yeah.
somewhere in that area.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that's the office.
Right at that intersection there.
Yeah, right in that area. I think that's what they're using as an office, but I don't think they have any signage. That was the first time I was aware of that was when I saw their truck there. I talked to them later when I was over at Maggie's place, and they told me they had an office over there. So I don't think it'll be clear where their office is unless they're parked out front of it. But they're easy guys to work with.
I asked them about TV service, and they said they would install an HD dish for DirecTV for 5,000 pesos and then $750 a month.
Pardon me.
Which I don't need it.
So, are they like distributors of Dish TV as well? Is that what's going on?
Don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was DirecTV, but I don't know.
Should I tell about the?
I can't. And then 5G to your office or home.
By wire?
No, it'd be like wireless to wireless.
Yeah, okay.
And the reason you do it that way would be simply to offer a 5G connection. It wouldn't be because it would be a faster or more robust connection. It'd be because we've got a whole market of 5G phones being sold. There's
It's gonna be less cost for infrastructure as well, right?
Say that again, Mike?
The infrastructure would cost you less because you're not running wires.
Well, that's my point is I don't see how you do 5G without running wires. The only way I see you being able to do it is wireless to wireless, and if you do that, then you're losing out on that bandwidth. Right? You're going back to what we currently have for cell bandwidth. I mean, it's definitely doable. Like I said, LTE will give us speeds up to. I'm not sick. I drank a veggie smoothie and I've got pieces of cucumber stuck in my throat, and I'm really regretting it at the moment because I can't stop coughing.
So what's the difference between between the street corners that you talk about. You separate street corners versus towers.
Right. Just as a metaphor for what we're talking about, because 5G requires closer distance from your data source and your consumption. Because of so what that means is that whatever's broadcasting 5G needs to be plugged into infrastructure. So now I can envision being able to get 5G speeds and using a tower. What they have to do is section off more bandwidth so they have less available in general. They isolate more speed to these 5G connections. Very convoluted. Like AT&T is playing this stupid game right now where they're updating software in phones like the Samsung or the LG so that the graphic on your screen says 5G. And that's not a true 5th generation thing. That's just a marketing thing that they're doing.
What about HD? Is the same theory apply there?
Say that again?
HD. You always get HD when it says HD, or
You're talking about like HD TV signals?
TVs.
Well, yeah, we could probably get deep into that topic because your TV can accept HD, and your source you can ask it to be HD, but then it could be limited by the capacity that's bringing it to your source.
when it says HD, that doesn't mean anything to you.
It
To somebody it probably does, but to you, if you don't have the right equipment.
That's right.
Right,
Yeah, if you don't have the right equipment, you don't have the right connection, then it doesn't matter if this is HD. That's not necessarily the case.
TV is saying that you have to have that type of receiver.
Yes.
Starting what, in April, I think it was?
If you're going to receive
Or you
HD.
would- Yeah.
Yeah.
There are parallels to the word organic.
Say that again?
There are parallels to the grocery word organic.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's exact. Well, and they've tried, the big cell industries have tried to obscure this topic all the way through each generation. They've tried to obscure our understanding of what's going on. There's always been a set standard for speeds. But the way they do it, they don't necessarily specify the technology. So if you can come up with a scheme that gives you close to within those parameters of speeds, then you can call it that generation. And that's what's made it so convoluted.
Is there a set rate for roaming charge, or they do whatever the hell they feel like?
Nobody regulates it that I'm aware of.
Yeah, it seems like the industry regulates itself by having some sort of competition.
Right.
And
It doesn't say, mine every once in a while I'm looking at something and it says, if you do this, you'll be on roaming charges, which cost you more.
Yeah.
They don't tell me how much the more is.
No.
that's right.
No.
They don't say per minute or per hour or anything.
Well, when I get close to my limit, it says for $20 you can get another gig on AT&T for roaming.
I was going to say that really has to be a carrier implemented.
Well, they do that for my jetpack too. I use it.
Playing around with this idea of getting dialed in, and the longer they were there and the more I talked to them about this, it became clear it wasn't clear whether smart DNS was going to work across it. That being the only reason Maggie wants it. So, well, if you guys aren't certain this is going to work, and we've seen Christine's problem where it's not working, then she's only interested in this if it's going to work. And they were going to go back to their office, get up on their tower, and start adjusting, trying to bring this connection in. And we made it very clear, you guys are focusing on the wrong. Be asking them, hey, is there any word on my ability to use a VPN across this, or use a DNS redirector with this, just to keep them on it, because that's got to be a selling point in this area.
So everybody's talking about what might be or whatever. So bottom line, cost efficiency right now, what's the best in the West here?
Well, where are you located?
Tequilas.
At Tequilas. Where in Tequilas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Near the pool.
Near the pool. So your only option is Telmex.
True.
Yeah.
But they're
That's
bringing
not
in
gonna be true.
they're bringing in
Okay, well then you'll have that as an option. You should talk to Gary. He's been on Mega Cable off of the main road, and you've had up and downs with that experience, right?
It works really well, but it just cooks out once in a while, and you try to get some service about it. And
What, for days at a time?
you
or-
talk to, 6 days, 7 days.
I had it for years and never any problems with it.
Yeah, Chester, you were located on the main drag into town right after the Big Rock. Charlie's Rock, the Big Rock, Thrifty's. Chester was just about across the street from Thrifty's on the water,
Like half
and he had consistently great connections with Mega Cable
And
but-
Telmex.
and Telmex. Yeah.
I guess just closer to the centers. But they're proposing to put the connections right through the whole Tequilas for Mega Cable.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
Yeah, that would be good,
might
especially
pay
a
a little more
brand new
attention to fix it.
installation.
Yep, right.
Because the problems we suffer from are quite literally corrosion, loose connections, weather getting into boxes.
So you think new would just be better?
New would be better.
My
Yeah.
Telmex is great, like 19, until the wind blows. If you get a real strong wind, I'm down to 2.
Wow.
You might need to
Slept last night.
you may need to get your phone line tensioned up. And with Telmex, that's not an unusual thing to have to do every year.
Ah,
Every year you may have to call Telmex and make it clear you're having issues with your phone line because
of wind and stuff.
you lived I don't want you messing with my internet connection. It took the phone being messed up for me to call them. The phone had some garbage across it. Internet was beautiful. And the DSL lines, that's very possible. I've been in the box now with the Telmex guys, and the internet and the phone are two separate things that run across the same cable, and it's literally routed through two different routes to get internet on your phone line. So it's very possible for one to fail and the other one to be working great.
Talking about, if you don't have a, Telmex or Telcel account, you can still get the internet, correct?
If you have a landline,
If you have an operating cell phone from the United States.
Yeah, but that's where the roaming charges come in.
Yeah.
And
We
you
get-
do- But you don't have phone service down here.
Yeah,
Right.
you could pay for
You
it.
can make a hotspot out of your telephone.
Yeah,
Oh, you can?
yeah,
But
but all dependent on your
Cost you.
cell contract.
Yeah.
right.
Like you would want a North American plan contract
You have to pay extra.
Yeah, I have T-Cell, or what is it,
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile, and it won't cut me off when I'm downloading data, but it'll get very slow.
Okay, well,
No, I'm sorry, they charge me $5 if I go over.
Okay, my real question is, I have a cell phone that I don't have service down here, and I wanna know if I can send pictures, and how do you send pictures from your cell phone to the internet? Now, that's such a basic question that most of you all know. I don't know.
Well, I think it's a good question, and it's part of what I covered in that Smartphones for Dummies presentation.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, and it really, I'd get all of you to look into this. You have a sharing option in all your equipment. There's sharing in Windows 10, there's sharing in the Macintosh, there's sharing in Android, there's sharing in iOS. There is a unique icon in the apps that you use. It looks different depending on your platform, but in the end what it does is it opens up a selection of places that you can share to. And so if you're looking in a gallery of photos, you can pull up a photo and you can use the sharing icon, and it'll bring up a list of all the different places you can share it to. Now, many times what's in that list include share to email, copy, like you want to copy it from this and put it into another application, printer, if you want to send it to a printer, you'll find it in the share to many times. But then it'll also list all the apps in your device that support the sharing from this program. So you're in your gallery and you want to share it to Messenger, like you're on Facebook Messenger. So you'd pick that, and then you'd pick the person you're going to share it to. Or you're in your gallery with your picture up, and you want to share it to WhatsApp because that's listed there. Now, one thing that people probably aren't aware of is sometimes you pull up to share and the app or service you want to share to isn't listed. And what that typically means is you haven't given that app permissions to use storage on your device. That's what that typically means. Is say I bring up my gallery and there's a picture I want to send to my wife on WhatsApp, and I pull up the share, and WhatsApp isn't one of the options, even though I know it should be. There's a very good chance I've misconfigured WhatsApp, or there's this big push right now to be as secure as possible, to not leak information. You may have gone through your security settings and started revoking access from these applications. You might have revoked the storage access from WhatsApp, which means you can't give it anything from your gallery because it's stored in the storage of your phone or your tablet. And so you have to go back into your security and you have to give that app access to the storage.
How many people in this group went to your presentation?
Well, yeah, there was a bunch of people there.
How about doing it for the club here sometime again?
Yeah, maybe. I'm still working on the video. I'm about 2/3 of the way done putting the video together so that you can watch that on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just keep getting distracted by visitors.
Would sharing through Bluetooth be entirely separate from that?
Sharing with Bluetooth be separate from that. You know, sharing with Bluetooth is available. It would be separate, and I don't think it's a real topic anymore. I mean,
like my camera will send a Bluetooth to a tablet or to my computer.
That's right.
And I was wondering if the cell phone Bluetooth would send a picture to your computer sitting next to you.
You know, it's a different kind of sharing, and that's why I say it's not a thing we're doing anymore. In fact, it reminds me, Bluetooth sharing was a thing before we started having a sharing standard. And you could bring a Bluetooth device to a Bluetooth device, and you could do things like share contacts or send a picture over, things like that. And it's just fallen out of favor. It's just not the way things are being done. And there hasn't been any progression in developing that style of technology.
Is that a special kind of camera?
Well, it's a modern camera. Modern cameras have sharing.
Bluetooth as well doesn't have a lot of bandwidth. And so nowadays when you have pictures that can be so many megapixels, you wouldn't want to send it through Bluetooth. It would take forever to get there. Whereas we have Wi-Fi standards that are much faster than that, or cable standards that are much faster than that for transferring stuff.
So are you saying that Bluetooth is just going to go away?
Oh, it'll never go away. No. Bluetooth was and still is a cable eliminator technology. And so as long as you're trying to go wireless, you're going to have Bluetooth.
With cars, you use Bluetooth between your cell phone and the car.
That's right.
That's correct.
And we have Bluetooth audio standards, like our headphones that are all Bluetooth, and that's just getting to be a higher quality.
Standalone speakers.
Hearing aids are Bluetooth.
Standalone speakers.
Yeah. I mean, Bluetooth really suffers from one of those, it's like a solution looking for a problem. Back when it was put together, it was like we were doing it because we could do it, but nobody knew how we were going to use it. And so they projected that we would have Bluetooth printers and Bluetooth keyboard and mouse and Bluetooth monitors, and none of that came about. And the mouse and the keyboard standard became a standard mostly because of Macintosh, because of Apple, because they wanted to put a screen on a desk with no wires in the workspace. Right. And when they did that, it was such an elegant design that it got copied in the industry. And so it became this thing that people wanted. But
over there.
What's going on?
Scott, are you aware that WhatsApp has a computer, a web solution?
You mean where you can go and do
On my
WhatsApp?
computer, yeah, I can
on
do
your
WhatsApp.
computer.
Yeah, I finally figured out how to do it, but.
Yeah, we've actually talked about it a bit because it's one of the options in the Opera web browser. I actually, that's one of the reasons I've enjoyed using Opera is because I can set it up for, what did you just say? WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger. I want to say Twitter, but it's not Twitter. What else is it? Let me open it up. There's a number of different options, and what I like about it is you don't have to install. That's it. I was thinking of Telegram. So there's Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, and Telegram are all integrated into the web browser,
Okay.
and so you can hit all those messengers and some other features without having to install those individual applications, all with just installing the Opera web browser.
The other thing is Huawei, how do you say that?
Huawei?
Huawei.
Huawei.
They're under.
I set it up so it's shared with my computer, so I can easily transfer photos back and forth.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, that's been a solution I've used with other people that have adopted to WhatsApp. Now, if you're using WhatsApp on the computer, it needs to sync with your phone in real time.
Every time you use it.
Every time you use it. It has to be, well, it works wonderfully, but what it does require is your phone has to be online at the same time your computer's online. And so, and if you want to avoid data charges, you want to make sure it's on a Wi-Fi connection, so that you can share that information back and forth. But what's really nice is that when you're using a WhatsApp client on your computer, you can pull from your gallery or your documents. You can pull all these assets out of your computer and dump them into WhatsApp, and the person receiving can receive on their phone, their tablet, however they're using WhatsApp. It's just a much easier. It makes a hub of communication between you and whoever you're talking to, and it's created an encrypted channel between whoever you're talking to. So those documents, pictures, are not being stored on any server out there. They only exist on your device and their device.
But the other person has to have it also.
They have to have WhatsApp. They don't have to have it on their computer, but they have to have it on their device. But they do, because that's the reason you've chosen this as the media for exchange. That's that's one of the criterias before you move that direction. I also was trying to solve a problem for a customer, and we started out with Opera, and the problem, we came across a problem I'm sorry that at the moment I can't remember what the problem was we were trying to solve, and we went ahead and installed the WhatsApp version. Like, you can go to the Windows Store and you can download the WhatsApp Windows 10, or you can go to WhatsApp and download the Windows 10 app. What I learned was it's the exact same app as the version that's included in Opera. It's the exact same code base. The whole experience is exactly the same as the individual app. And so there was no solution to be found in the, because whatever wasn't working in Opera is not working in WhatsApp, because there's no difference between the two apps. They are identical in every way. They grabbed the code base and just integrated it into WhatsApp, like they made this sandbox, and they put all the same toys in it.
I have a silly question.
Good.
What is interrupting our service in front of Lay's when we have XM Sirius radio on? It gets interrupted right there in front of Lay's every time.
Where? In front of Lay's?
In front of Lay's? That's interesting.
I
Mine
noticed
doesn't do
that.
that. Mine doesn't do it, but if I drive north and south, then I get, like this street right here, I lose it coming down past the hotel.
I don't lose mine.
Keep in mind it's satellite, so it is still line of sight.
Maybe, yeah.
Well, what is up there interrupting it? Because it must be some tower.
Wait, it is line of
Evil
sight.
force.
I mean, it is like you wouldn't expect your radio to work in a tunnel.
It does.
Right, well, I guess we go through a little tunnel there.
Yes, I put a,
So
There's bound to be one.
what I can relate it to is satellite TV in Alaska, where the satellite is so far off on the horizon that if you pop behind a large building, you would lose your satellite TV. There are places in Anchorage where they can't have satellite TV because there's a hill, because it's so low on the horizon that you can't get to it.
Well, you see, we had satellite, we had it also in our other car. This is a newer car.
Yeah.
And it didn't do it with the other cars, but this year it's doing it. So.
I think is it a shorter car?
Just lower, yeah.
There you go.
It seems to be more sleek or something.
7.
Yes.
Okay, it is dying next year.
Next year.
This is the launchable for that. Go to Windows 10. Your computer may not run great on Windows 10. You may have to buy a new computer just because you're changing your operating system, or you may be going to Linux, depending on your skill levels and interests. Linux is a decent alternative. You could use an Ubuntu installation.
Okay, so the Tequilas that you're working with do not use Windows 7?
To be fair, I have been working with a Macula for the last year for extra support to keep going. There's also internal applications that are all fees from Microsoft to keep it secure.
There's certain programs that can't be upgraded or whatever. My friend and I are still using it.
Some of it, and it doesn't work.
It should work.
So you
You dial
plus and then the 1, right?
+1. If you're on the cell phone, you dial +1,
Right.
and then the corresponding code for that 800 number.
But do you also do the one that they had on it originally, like the 1-800, so on, so?
No.
No. You
No.
just do the 800 one?
That's right. You
Without
do
the 1?
Well, it's the same one that you're talking about. You just put a plus in front of it.
Oh, I see. I see. So you do,
Hold
you don't
down
do another
0.
1.
You don't do another
Okay,
one. That's
gotcha.
the one we're talking about.
Yeah, now.
On the landlines,
Yes.
you would dial 001. You dial the prefix that gets you to the States. I think it's 001.
Okay.
Yeah, and
And
then
then a +1?
no,
Or not?
there is no plus
Just
on the landlines.
dial the
Yeah.
regular 800
The
number?
00 is like the plus.
Okay.
The 00 on the landline is like the plus on a
Okay.
cell phone.
And so if you were dialing
Yep.
an 800,
Then you put 1.
Yep, and then the corresponding 800. Well, or the whatever area code you're calling in the States. What Gary's asking about is dialing 800 numbers correctly from here that are in the United States.
I'm using a VPN and an 800 number.
well, I don't have a VPN. So.
Why would you use a VPN? Are you using Skype?
No.
Yeah, I don't think a VPN would affect it at all.
No, but it puts me in Seattle.
Oh, it makes your phone think it's in Seattle, so it dials it like you're in Seattle?
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
make a difference.
You know, this is the thing, is that for years in the Android platform, the iOS platform,
Don't you want to consolidate everything in Messenger?
Yeah.
I've dealt with that on my Huawei, and I finally eliminated the other messenger. I never found a good solution for it. What it is Google has released a messenger that they're trying to encourage people to use, and I have the exact same experience. Every time I go into one, it tells me to use the other. Going up, I hope you guys are here next week when we meet again for the San Carlos Computer Club. That will be here at Tequilas with me, Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions. If you have computer issues anywhere on the internet, I hope you get a hold of me at internationalcs.net, Scott at internationalcs.net, and give me a chance to be your solution provider. If you're interested in recordings like this, well, we put them up on the internet for posterity. You can find references to it from the Computer Club's website at scclub.org. If you're looking for a fast, easy way to get to our YouTube channel, just type in youtube.scclub.org. It'll take you right to our YouTube channel. I guess that's it for this week. If you have any computer problems or issues, get a hold of me. Otherwise, I'll plan on seeing you guys next week in the same place at the same time. Until then, keep calm and tech on. I'll talk to you later.